What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for March 17th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone out there, especially the ones that are really Irish. But enjoy, be safe today. Don't do anything stupid. Let's get into some housekeeping. First, I mentioned yesterday, if you didn't listen to yesterday's show, I had a chance on Saturday to sit down with Lenny Wagner, who is the author of the book One Man's Journey Through the Golden Age of Sports. Playing with the Best, One Man's Journey Through the Golden Age of Sports. It is essentially a biography on Walter French. Great story, amazing story. I'm going to be cutting up the interview and playing clips here within the next couple weeks. But go to the description. I left Lenny's website in there as well. And if you are interested, I highly suggest looking up Walter French and what his story is. Lenny will be doing a couple book signings. I have the dates in there. He will be one this Wednesday. But again, I'm looking forward to being able to present the interview with Lenny. Walter French's story is just incredible. If you don't know, he was a two-sport athlete, won a World Series with the A's, played in the NFL for the Pottsville Maroons, won a championship with them, even though it was taken away. He went to Rutgers, was at West Point, served in the military. Just an incredible, incredible story. I liken him sort of to like a professional, or maybe not even professional, but like a sports version of Forrest Gump. Just the stories and everything that he was able to experience. So all of that information is in the description, and stay tuned for the interview I did with Lenny talking about Walter and his story. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, @PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. Lenny actually found me through, I believe it was YouTube, then hit me up on Facebook, reached out about promoting the book. I was more than happy to learn because I had never heard of this dude. So be sure to subscribe to that YouTube channel and continue to help this thing grow. All right, well, Sixers messed around and won 130 to 125. Quentin Grimes had 28 points against his former team. Not a good win for the Sixers, in all honesty. The Dallas Mavericks were shorthanded as well. And I think we're going to find this. It's going to be these young guys trying to prove themselves. And I don't know. That's not a good thing when you're trying to make sure you get into the top six. They currently are one game up on the 6th spot, one game back of the 5 seed. Excuse me, not 5 seed. 5th spot in the draft. But yeah, not a good win for your team, your town, your 76ers. They're going to screw this up, aren't they? Yep. The Union lost their first game of the season yesterday to Nashville 3-1. They are back in action Saturday in St. Louis without 6 of their stars who have started their national team duty. Hopefully they can keep afloat, but just a kind of a flat day for the Union yesterday as they lose to Nashville 3-1. Flyers back in action tonight to take on the Lightning, looking to improve their draft position. But truthfully, at this point, I'm looking for them to just play well. Like, I would really like them to sort of, I don't know. And I don't know if it's the coach and maybe they're not responding to what he's saying, but just show me something. Turn Mishkov loose for the last 15 games or so and then see what we got with the kid. Some Phillies news. Max Kepler and Brandon Marsh both left the game yesterday. Kepler ran into the wall, had a bruised back. Don't know how long that's going to keep him out. We should have some more information today. Brandon Marsh has a knee issue. Not sure what's up with that, if it's the same knee he had the surgery on last year. So we'll continue to monitor that. However, we haven't done this since February 22nd, and we're about a week and a half from opening day. Let's do a Phillies vibe check. that is today's question of the day. How are we feeling about the Phillies going into this season? Back last time we did it, we were still kind of high on the Eagles Super Bowl. But as we're closing in, how are we feeling about this Phillies season? You feeling good? Feeling not so excited about this season? Hit me up and let me know. 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. I'm actually higher now on the Phillies than I was on February 22nd. I don't know if going down to Clearwater kind of helped that along, or if it's just the timing, the weather's starting to get warm. And I know opening day is right around the corner. It was a beautiful weekend. Was outside doing some things, had a catch with the kids. Maybe that's playing a role into it. But let me know, what is our feelings right now? Give me a Phillies vibe check here on St. Patty's Day. Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line or any of my social media. But like I said, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. All right. Let's do yesterday's recap of the question of the day. All of this sort of ties in together. We still have our March Madness kind of theme going here. Yesterday was Selection Sunday. No Philadelphia teams made the NCAA. St. Joe's did make the NIT as a 3 seed. If you're into that, it's kind of congratulations, you weren't good enough to play with the big boys, so here is your participation trophy. But, I mean, I'll still watch it, I guess. But I asked you, can Philly college hoops be saved? And I did ask for what your plan would be. 89% of you said yes, they can be saved. Not one of those 89% of the people gave me a way to fix it. So it's great to think that it could be fixed. So a couple of the no's. One person said there's too many moving pieces right now with the NIL and the rules. Once things kind of level out, then you can kind of make that decision. It might right now take the perfect storm of player with not wanting a huge NIL deal. And it just, again, it's too difficult. And I think, to me, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have these big super conferences, maybe 4 of them. And Villanova, I think, and this is not a shot against Villanova at all, the fans or anything, but I think they're going to be the holdup in this, because I think once those super conferences become essentially a semi-pro leagues or minor leagues, it's not going to be college basketball, but you're going to have the teams from the SEC, the Big Ten. Somehow it's going to morph into that, and then you're going to have like true college basketball with the teams that are left out, likely all of the teams in Philly, but Villanova right now, without having a coach and sort of the wave they've fallen. I read an article yesterday. They need to get this right in order to still be in that upper echelon of teams. So it's sort of like a crossroads for them. But I would love to see more for the teams that aren't in the big guys, even if it ends up being like somehow a Premier League sort of setup where the bottom teams in the big conferences get relegated down to like a D2, and then the top D2 teams get promoted up. And you can even have so if Temple feels that they should be, if they end up in the D2, which kind of is where they are conference-wise, but if a team like that, they can play up, and it would help with recruiting and things like that. To me, that's the way to do it, and it would give teams sort of motivation to do well. That could be, and then have it more of regional conferences, and that would be a way to spark interest in the Big Five if you had Temple, LaSalle, and St. Joe's, even Nova, depending on where they would land in the same conference. And I don't know details or anything like that, but that would be my plan. Set it up, keep all the schools the same. Have your quote unquote blue bloods, and you can do the same thing for football even. Have sort of one governing body, and then have the different tiers underneath of it, and then implement a relegation system. And somehow they're going to have to figure out, and of course it always comes down to money, a way to kind of figure out the money aspect of that. But to me, It would keep everybody involved, and it gives a lot of your smaller schools, kind of those mid-majors, a chance to play up. Maybe just because they announced the fourth season, or I think it was the fourth season or whatever, of Ted Lasso's coming out, and I know that was a big part of the storyline, and Ted Lasso was the team moving up. But I don't know whether or not that could even work out. It's going to take, and the problem is all of these schools are essentially their own separate entities who are looking out for them. So obviously a plan like this would benefit the schools that are smaller and don't have the money. But it's an interesting thing. If you are going to get relegated, it's going to totally change the landscape, and it's going to change the mindset and the way things get done. So why not? Because I feel like it's broken the way it is, and it's a shame because the college game is awesome. There's nothing like March Madness. So for everybody who said yes out there, you didn't understand the assignment. You didn't come at me with a plan. So there's my plan. What do you think of my plan? Is it even feasible? I don't know. And maybe it's just me as a team that's on the outside of the big crew looking for a way to have a shot. And that's fair too. So let me know what you think about that thought. But I don't know. It's better than watching St. Joe's in the NIT. If you do want a local angle, I'm sure there's many of them. But if you want a local angle for the tournament, Phil Martelli Jr. is coaching Bryant Bulldogs. They're a 15 seed. They're taking on Michigan State. I have watched a few Bryant games this year, and they're a pretty good team. I don't know if they're going to upset Michigan State or not, but at least if you want somebody to root for, at least in the first round, that might or may not break your bracket, root for the Bryant Bulldogs, Phil Martelli Jr., or you could just root for St. Joe's in the NIT. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Great things going on with their sports fan network. Go to clashingconferences.com for details about what they have going on, how you can get involved, and just, like I said, great things, great opportunity to kind of get your voice heard. So go to clashingconferences.com. And then Philly Goat. It's too late to get your stuff for St. Patty's Day unless you want to start getting an early start for next year. But they got you covered. The weather's getting warmer. They have tees. They have the summertime shoes, hats, you name it, they got it. Coolers are still there. I cannot wait to take my cooler to the pool this summer. It worked out very well at the Eagles parade. I was able to take my beer, kids' snacks, and their drinks and everything. And the way the bag is constructed, very comfortable, easy to use. So go to Philly Goat, check out what they have to offer. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today we're going to go to 1995, and we're still going to stick with a March Madness theme. And playing in their first NCAA tournament game on this day since 1991 was the Villanova Wildcats. They were ranked 9th in the country and coming off winning the Big East tournament. They were number 3 seed in the Big Dance. High expectations for the Wildcats. They were led by second-team All-American Kerry Kittles. And they took on the 14 seed Old Dominion. Should have been an easy run for the Villanova Wildcats. However, on this night, it wasn't meant to be as they looked kind of sluggish from the very start. They lost 89-81 in triple overtime. Kerry Kittle scored 22, but only shot 45%, including 2 from 7 from three-point range. This loss for Villanova, I remember watching this it's funny how certain things stick out in your mind. But this game, very vividly remember watching this because I did have Villanova going, I believe, at least to the Elite Eight. But just thinking, okay, they didn't quite win it in regulation. All right, they got it in overtime. And then almost having them win it in overtime and then being like, all right, they'll finally pull away. This is what happens in the tournament. And then going to the third overtime thinking the same thing, but instead it was Old Dominion who pulled away at the end. But this loss for Villanova came the day after Penn, Temple, and Drexel also lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So I remember it was a very depressing day to be a Philly college basketball fan. Little did I know that, 40 years later, here we are. Or I guess that's 30 years later. Wait a minute. Let me do the quick math in my head. Yeah, 30 years later, here we are. And no teams. We were upset that 4 teams lost in the first round. And here we are. No teams made the tournament. So back then we thought it was bad, but it could have been worse. But on this day in 1995, Villanova loses to Old Dominion 89-81 in triple overtime in the first round of the NCAA tournament as a 3 seed. And now, ironically enough, the issues that we're having right now in the Big Five with Philly college basketball, the seeds were planted during that NCAA tournament because UCLA won that NCAA tournament. Ed O'Bannon was the most outstanding player of the tournament. Went on to play a little bit in the pros. But it was a few years later, sometime in the 2000s, I believe, EA Sports came out with, I forget the exact name of the game, but basically their NCAA basketball game that used a likeness of Ed O'Bannon. Ed O'Bannon was like, how come I'm not getting paid for that? That is me. Took it to court, everything, through all the litigation and everything. The judge ruled, or the court ruled in favor of Ed O'Bannon, saying that players can be paid for their name, image, and likeness, opening up the floodgates to what we have now with the NIL. So it's just kind of ironic. I spent some time riffing this week, the past couple days anyway, about the state of college sports, or college football, or college basketball anyway, in Philadelphia. But the seeds of this were planted 30 years ago during the same NCAA tournament that Temple, Villanova, Drexel, and LaSalle all lost in the first round of the tournament. I'm sorry, Penn, not LaSalle. Penn, Temple, Drexel, and Nova. So just sort of the intersection of history and Philly sports once again. And then finally today, our Women's Big Five Hall of Fame spotlight is on Crista Ricketts from LaSalle. That's where I got LaSalle from. She played at LaSalle from 2004 to 2007. She is a Douglasville native and a Daniel Boone High School graduate. She was 3-time All-A-10, 4-time All-Big Five. She was the 2004 A-10 and Big Five Rookie of the Year. When she graduated LaSalle, she was 3rd all-time in scoring. She was top 6 in 9 other stats. She just was a great defender. She was the Associated Press All-Third Team her senior year. After she graduated, she ended up playing in Europe and Australia for a few years, but she was inducted into the Big Five Hall of Fame in 2014, the LaSalle Hall of Fame in 2015, and one of the greatest to ever do it up on the other end of Broad Street. Crista Ricketts is today's Women's Big Five Hall of Fame spotlight. Semi-local. I think Douglasville is Philly area-ish. I would say if you count the LV as a Philly area, you got to count Douglasville up in Berks County as well. So we'll give her the local nod there. But Crista Ricketts is today's Women's Big Five Hall of Fame spotlight. On this day, 1995, Villanova loses to Old Dominion 89-81 in triple overtime in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Very disappointing year for Philly schools in the tournament, but hey, at least there was 4 out of the 6 teams made it. We will have more on the Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers as the news progresses and we watch those standings. If there's any updates for the Eagles, we'll give you that as well. But let me know. Where's our vibe check? How are we feeling about the Phillies right now? You feeling good, bad, kind of still 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. And let me know your thoughts on how to fix college basketball. Would my plan work of relegation sort of similar to the Premier League? Would any of the big schools go for it? Likely not. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for March 17th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday and be careful out there. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.